Polo in the city. Well, it sounds like a novel idea, doesn't it? It's a tradition that's been going around all over the world for many, many years. Horses and man and balls. And to find out more about it, we're now joined by one of the best in Australia, Glen Gilmore, to tell us all about this wonderful sport that's been going around for quite some time, Glen, but now we're bringing it to the masses.
Very much so, mate. Polo in the city. We've just been to Perth and been to Melbourne, and we've got Sydney tomorrow in Centennial Park, and then Adelaide on Sunday. So it should be a lot of fun.
The sport of polo, it's really growing in popularity as the years go on, but it's nowhere near as popular as the general sports like cricket, soccer and football. Now, why is that the case, do you think?
I think it's because a lot of people don't get involved with horses when they're young. I was very lucky, grew up on a farm, involved with horses all my life, and so that sort of changed the whole feel for what I did. I got involved with horses, played sport during school, and then got involved in polo because my father played, grandfather played, and what we're trying to do with the polo in the city is bring it to the masses so that people can understand, they can come and watch, get involved, and really, get involved in the sport.
OK, so the people that'll come out to Sydney tomorrow, Centennial Park, or Adelaide on Sunday, if they come out and see this sort of vision that we're seeing now, they might just think, well, there's blokes steering horses around, wielding sticks around. What is the objective of polo, and just take us through what an actual game entails? OK,
well, the game's very simply, the team that scores the most goal wins. There's 4 on each team. The number 1 is the goal scorer, the 2 the hard worker, the 3 is the captain and the general, and the number 4 is the back. But we go out, we play 3 or 4 horses in each game when we're playing here in the polo in the city. And, literally, the one who scores the most goals will win.
Now, do the horses, they must get tired, do they? Do you use the same horse the entire time?
No. What happens is we play periods called a chukker, and lasts for 7 minutes. And one horse is only allowed to do 1 chukker consecutively. You can only do the 1 chukker, can't play the second one. So you can bring that horse back later in the game. So we'll all end up playing 4 on a team, 4 horses each. Yeah, there's a lot of ponies out there.
Right.
Obviously the horses need to be ready to go, but for you guys, what sort of training schedule? Because it seems rough and tough out there.
Training schedule, look, we spend a lot of time in the saddle, getting their horses fit, keeping ourselves fit, a lot of practice hitting the ball, because it's a good hand-eye coordination sport. But as we were talking earlier, making sure that you're good on the horse is a huge part of the sport.
Now, I have had the fortune of going along to the polo, and I've got to say, growing up around horses, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
It is a great sport, because the one thing I just marvelled at was the horsemanship. You guys use the reins seemingly very, very little.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of leg work, OK? So we have to hold our reins in our left hand because we get our stick in our right hand. And, you've got to be aware of what's going on. You've got 2 teams, 8 players mounted out there, 2 mounted umpires. There's a lot going on. You've got a stick and quite a hard ball, so there's a lot going on.
Is there a lot of yelling and screaming and swearing, and is it rough contact?
Yeah, how competitive does it get out there?
Very much so. Oh, look, like any sport, Australians, we want to go and win anything we try ourselves at. But, a bit of swearing goes on, so the kids might have to close their ears a little bit.
Now, there is a popular perception within Australia that polo is just for a rich man's sport. Is there any truth to that it's an elite sport?
Well, it had an elitist tag, definitely with regards to the royals in England. With Prince Charles, he plays, the boys play, Harry and Wills. But in Australia, it was very much so that we had farmers, had their horses, they had their mates around the corner. They'd say, what are we doing Sunday afternoon? Let's go and play some polo. So we had a much different upbringing with the polo, the way it started. And, we've had the royals out here to play with us, but the elitist tag is really starting to wane now.
Glen, you've achieved a lot in the sport. Your father got you involved, and he was quite successful in it as well, and that success has enabled you to travel overseas. Tell us about the sport overseas, because from what I understand, it's very, very popular in a large part of Asia and also South America. Yeah,
definitely. Argentina is the biggest place that you'll play polo. There's thousands and thousands of people play there. It's actually the second most popular sport after soccer over there, so there's a lot of played there. All through Europe, I see polo just becoming more and more popular the whole time. There was a stat the other day, 70% of new players coming into the sport are ladies, Lee, so you might have to start playing.
I might. I don't know how I'd go with
you.
Ride a horse?
No, I've tried a few times. I'm not the best, but maybe you can give me a few tips.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Ryan's okay. He always talks himself up.
What do you reckon?
Talk
himself
up. Lee will get on a horse soon. She watched that movie Australia the other day. She thinks she's Nicole Kidman, and she'll get out riding
it has inspired me.
Before you know it. But, it is very popular. Are you seeing that sort of popularity starting to take hold in Australia like it is overseas?
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of places, Perth, Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, all the major cities have got someone in each of those places starting up clinics. There's people coming out. We're starting junior polo. Geelong Grammar have got polo starting at their school there as well. So there's a lot of things happening to get juniors into the sport and new people just to making sure they come and try it.
Well, if you're saying that you're trying to get people involved, but anyone that knows horses, it costs a lot.
It does.
To get involved, to feed a horse,
yes.
to look after a horse. If a parent out there did want to get their child involved in polo, is it something that they could do relatively inexpensively?
Yeah, there's certain ways that they can do it. Obviously, as you know, having horses costs a lot, grooms, trucks, diesel, everything. But there's quite a few cost-effective ways where you can go out to someone, they've got their own, someone have horses there, you can go and rent them just for a chucker, so it might cost you $100, $150 for the afternoon, rent yourself a horse and have a great time so the kids can get involved. So it's very cost-effective, and that's what we're trying to get people to understand. They can come and try it, get involved and have a really good time.
Yeah. Sounds great. I wanted to move on and talk about your role within the Australian team. Now, you guys have been going really well over the past few years. What's been some of your highlights?
My highlights, look, being part of the Australian polo team was something when I grew up watching the wars, the borders, all those guys playing all of those different sports. For me to be a captain of a team for Australia was just something that was so special. I've been lucky enough to play with my father. Stuart, played with him in South Africa, against South Africa, and we won, which was amazing. Met the Queen, met Prince Charles, had a lot of fun, and now being part of the Mumm team, GH Mumm, for what we're doing with polo in the city, it's really, really good.
And what is the most prestigious competition a polo player can play?
Prestigious place?
Yeah.
Yeah, Argentina would be, that's the home of polo. If you can go and play at Palermo, which is in the city of Buenos Aires, play there and play on the #1 field would be amazing. I haven't been there yet, but hoping we can. So.
Now, I understand you've played with the late Kerry Packer as well.
Yeah.
Have you got a Kerry Packer story that you can share with us?
Everyone's got a Kerry Packer story, mate. Kerry Packer was an amazing man for my family. We lived, well, my father still lives there, and my uncle. And I lived on his property for 21 years while I travelled the world, because I didn't need a base travelling everywhere. And he was a very intimidating man as a youngster. I went there when I was 15, but just so generous. And what he did for polo in Australia, he changed the face of polo around the world.
In what way?
He made people understand. First of all, he went about getting and breeding horses to the best possible way that you could anywhere in the world. And Australia and New Zealand have the best horses in the world for polo. He then set about making the polo fields the best that could be, and he has completely changed the way people get polo fields going, and because the surface that we play on has to be as good as possible for as long as possible, and we can go and play on the polo fields at Elliston, which is his place up in the Hunter Valley, and you can play 3 games on it and you wouldn't even know we've been out there. It's quite something.
Right. I've got to ask you about his son James. We know he's heavily involved in polo. Will he be there on the weekend, or
I'm not sure.
playing?
I'm not sure. With the weather the way it is, I don't know, but hopefully tomorrow with it 34 and you know, not too windy, he will be out there. Not sure. There's a lot going on. I know that he hurt his knee and he wasn't getting involved in the polo so much.
Is he any good?
Yes, he does play very well.
Okay.
Yeah, he got to 4 goals, which is quite good, and yeah, it's something that he doesn't get to do much with work, but it's also something that we want to see as many people out there. So.
Well, Glenn, let's give it another plug. It's polo in the city.
Yep.
When, where, and how many rounds of there are still to come?
We've got 2 games tomorrow, 1 and 3 o'clock at Centennial Park. Should be a lot of fun. And then on Sunday, we're in Adelaide. So if anyone wants to make the trek, we'd love to make them more than welcome.
Well, don't drink too much of that Mumm
No,
champagne
I know. It is lovely.
after tomorrow, because you've got to get up early and get down to Adelaide on Sunday.
Yeah,
Thank you
fingers
very much.
crossed for some great weather over the weekend. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us, Glenn.
Great
Pleasure.
to have you in, Glenn. Thanks very much.